Hello, everyone. Welcome to this short webinar on sustainability and climate risk, SCR. This is going to be a short informative session about the SCR exam, which is conducted by GRAP. So we'll discuss the pattern of the exam, and I'll also share my personal experience with the exam that I gave quite recently, actually, last October. And we will also discuss why SCR is relevant today, why there is so much buzz around the sustainability and climate risk. Why is it relevant for us who are working in finance and risk space? So we'll go through all of that. And then we'll also discuss how we offer this course and why you should enroll with us, Peaks Details. Allow me to quickly introduce myself. So I am Satya. I am an IIM graduate. I have more than 12 plus years of experience in capital markets and risk modeling. I also have FRM charter and CQF charter as well. And quite recently, I just cleared SCR, so last October. All right, let's get going. First of all, let's talk about the SCR certificate. As I mentioned, SCR stands for Sustainability and Climate Risk. All right. It's conducted by GARP. We know GARP is Global Association of Risk Professionals, the same body that conducts FRM, right? So it's the course is or the exam is designed by sustainability and climate risk professionals across various industries. As you know, today, these are the two very important dimensions that is impacting everybody. The corporate landscape, private entities, macro sector, micro sector, governments, that's sustainability and climate risk. Okay. We'll talk more about that. But this syllabus focuses on two aspects, which is sustainability and climate risk. Now, if you look at the syllabus, the GARP provides you with an e-book, right? It's roughly around 200 pages. And there are 8 chapters. So the chapters have not changed so far. So I'll just quickly go through this. So the first chapter talks about foundations of climate change. So it's the basic background of what is climate, what is weather, what are the various scientific phenomena that you need to understand, right? So that's the foundation. Then it talks about sustainability at large. What is the definition of sustainability? What are the various entities within the umbrella of sustainability, all those things. And then we focus on climate risk specifically, right? And then it talks about various policies, cultures, various bodies that were formed, right? Historically speaking. And then what did those bodies enforce? What was the success and failure of different governing bodies? Things like that. And then it talks about the financial products that we have in relation to climate risk. Okay, so you must have heard green bonds, right? Sustainability linked bonds. So it talks about green finance, right? And then we have climate risk measurement and management. So how do you go about measuring climate risk? Okay, so there are some new ideas in terms of how do we start measuring climate risk in the conventional, risk measures that we have today. For example, credit risk, market risk that we very well model and manage today. In the presence of climate risk, how do we tweak those formulas, right, or models to incorporate climate risk into the mainstream risk calculation, right? So ideas like climate value at risk or climate adjusted PD. Okay, so things like that are evolving. So we'll talk a little bit more about that as well. So this chapter is all about that. And then we have climate models and scenario analysis. So scenario analysis, as we know, it's like a what if scenario, right? So it talks about what kind of scenarios exist as baseline scenarios. And then on top of that, obviously, based on your internal needs, you create scenarios that are applicable to your portfolio. And then you measure the impact, right? Stress testing also is part of this. And finally, there is a discussion about net zero. Net zero essentially means net zero carbon footprint. Okay, how different nations are approaching this net zero mission, and uh, what does it have for us as in corporates and different entities, right? So there are 8 chapters. Nothing has changed in terms of the chapters. Uh, for the next exam, pretty much you have the same chapters, but there are some differences that have come up for the October exam. So we'll talk about those. And then once you complete the exam, you get a certificate like this. All right. Okay, let's talk more about the exam. So there are 2 exam windows. One is in April, and the second window is in October. So yeah, so this is the exam dates for the April and October exams. Now, here's the fee structure. So obviously you get a little bit of benefit if you register early, right? So this is for the April exam, the early registration window and the standard registration window. These are the fee structure. Okay. And coming to the pattern of the exam, so there would be 80 MCQ questions, right? 1 case study. So I'm talking about April exam, which is similar to what it was there in the October exam. Nothing has changed. So 80 questions, 3-hour duration, and 1 case study. So at the end of your paper, you get 1 case study and 3 or 4 questions tied to that case study, right? Coming to the October exam, so these are the early and standard registration windows and the fee structure. As you can see, the fees are increasing steadily, right? When I appeared last time, it was for me, since I'm FRM certified, for me, it was around 450. And then if you look at the pattern, so they have announced that in October exam, the number of questions will increase from 80 to 90, and it will be a 4-hour duration exam, and there will be 2 case studies. Okay. So those are the changes, and this is the overall exam pattern. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know in the chat box. Now, coming to my personal experience in the last October exam. So I have some pointers, observations that I want to share with you. This exam involves, I would say, 50% memorization and 50% reasoning. So why I say memorization? I mean, there are just facts and facts and facts. A lot of facts are there. You definitely have to memorize them. But just rote memorization is not going to work, because the questions that come is not exactly fact-based one-to-one, right? It will be based on different situations. And you should have strong reasoning, right, to be able to relate those facts and have, you should be able to connect all the dots in the entire syllabus, how every fact, different facts correlate to each other, right? Which fact leads to which, consequence. So you need to have that cause and effect relationship built in your mind. Only then all the facts will make sense and they will fall in place and you'll not forget. Okay, so I would characterize this exam as a 50% memorization and 50% reasoning. All right. Then questions are situational, right? You don't expect that they will give you fill in the blanks and it'll be straight lift and shift from the books. That's not going to happen. It will be questions will be situational. So picture like this. Let's say you are the chief sustainability officer of a bank and you want to implement COSO framework. COSO framework is a framework that's in the syllabus, which is an important framework. A lot of questions come from that. So as part of this particular step, what is the first action that you will take? Right. So you have to have that sequence in your mind, crystal clear, right? So these type of questions will come. All right. So you do need to remember the facts, but they will, I mean, don't remember them as isolated versions of truth, right? You need to put them all together in a strong reasoning so that you can easily correlate which aspect leads to what. Okay. Now, obviously, the options that they give you will feel very, very close. If you do a superficial preparation, all options will seem right. Okay, they are very, very close. There are some, subtle words, one or two words, which will be the clue. They will be different out of context, or those combinations do not make sense, right? But for that, you have to prepare accordingly, right? And syllabus is short because it's just 200 pages. If you compare with FRM, right, it's very, very short. But because the syllabus is short, every word counts. Every word counts, as in every word becomes important. Every word can become a question. All right. So yeah, you have to have multiple revisions of the textbook. And on top of that, you have to create a mind map where you can relate different facts. The time duration for me, it was much more than adequate, right? I had like half an hour remaining. So I don't think time would be an issue. All right, so this is from my personal experience from the October 2023 exam. Now let's talk about why we should do SCR. What is the relevance, right? First and foremost, I would like to draw parallels between machine learning and climate risk. Today, everybody knows about machine learning. Machine learning or AI, right? We have seen over the last 10 or 20 years what machine learning or AI has done to the decision-making process. It is an element that exists everywhere today, right? All the business intelligence, all the decision-making that happens today is ML or AI powered, right? Climate risk has the potential to become exactly the same in the risk landscape. All right, because climate risk is such a cross-cutting factor, it will affect the entire risk landscape. So when we talk about risk, our conventional understanding of risk, right? We have segregated it into credit risk, market risk, operational risk, liquidity risk. Climate risk is such a global phenomenon that is affecting everybody today. We need to change our conventional ways of identifying, defining, and measuring risk. We need to start tweaking our models to incorporate climate risk. I'm not saying climate risk will be so from a Basel perspective, let's say, I don't think climate risk would be a separate dedicated capital charge, just like credit risk market. It's more how the conventional risk measures will be changed or tweaked to embrace climate risk. You need to start thinking of climate related hazards and risk drivers, and then that those new variables need to be part of your model. Okay, so we'll see. So in the chapter, they talk about CVAR, climate value at risk, and climate adjusted PD, as I mentioned earlier, right? So those things, yeah. So our entire risk calculation, right, needs to start to respect the climate risk dimension. So that's why I'm putting it, in the equal footing as ML. What ML has done to analytics is what climate risk will do to risk. So that is why this is so, so important today. Second aspect is regulatory compliance, right? So today, if you Google, right, there are a lot of papers that have come from BIS and ECB as well as IFRS related to climate risk. From BIS, we have 3 different papers that are more of a suggestive. It's not really prescriptive at this point, but it'll become so. But it talks about different ways in which you need to start recognizing climate risk in your risk calculations and different transmission channels through which climate related hazards manifest in terms of the conventional risk measures like rate risk, market risk, operational risk, right? So BIS talks about that. Similarly, we have guidelines from ECB as well. You need to start recognizing, identifying, measuring, and disclosing climate risk data points. IFRS, for example, specifically, there are 2 standards that have come out from IFRS, S1 and S2, which talks about sustainability and climate risk disclosure aspects. So you need to start disclosing your climate footprint as part of the IFRS regulation. So it's there already. So that is the second reason why there are a lot of jobs that have opened up to, address this regulatory compliance requirement. Third aspect, yeah, I just talked about this. So there is a huge upsurge in the employment world where they are seeking for ESG and climate risk professionals. ESG, you must have heard this is a buzzword today, environmental, social, and governance, right? So a lot of jobs have opened up in this space, as you must have noticed in LinkedIn. So that's the reason why we need to definitely have this in our arsenal to remain employable, right? And the last point is why SCR specifically is because it is conducted by GRAP, and GRAP is the most, reputed body when it comes to risk. As we know, FRM is the gold standard for risk. It's popular, right? So SCR has the potential to be the gold standard for climate risk because it is conducted by GRP, right? That is one point. The second point is, as you have seen, the prices are steadily increasing. Plus, the volume of the book will also increase a lot. So the time, this is the right time. The time is ripe to do SCR right now. So that you are ahead of the game, and it is cost effective, right? And it's also manageable because the number of pages is only 200 at the moment, but expected to increase by 50 pages every year, every term. So yeah, that's the reason why I appeared for it, right? So I would also suggest or recommend that you also uh, get yourself SCR certified sooner than later. Okay, so this is why I think you should enroll in SCR. Now, why you should enroll with us? How do we do it differently, right? First of all, as I mentioned, right, it's not about just the facts. It's not about the facts. So there is a question from Anish. What is the pass percentage? The pass percentage is around 50%, close to 50%. Okay, so yeah, as I mentioned, it is not brute memorization all the time. You need to have solid scientific reasoning behind every facts so that you're not, you don't end up memorizing everything as isolated truth, right? So what we strive in Peaks to Tails is to give you the physics and the chemistry behind various phenomena, because that is foundational, right? If you want to understand climate risk, first you need to understand how climate has changed. Why is it an issue right now, right? So there is scientific explanation behind each and every fact, and you need to understand those scientific basis so that it's easier for you to remember the facts and correlate. Okay. Here in Peaks to Tails, we explain the physics and the chemistry behind each and every phenomenon. So you will be able to connect the dots better that way. Another question, how many hours of study is required? From my personal experience, close to 100 hours, not more than that. A total 100 hours should be more than sufficient. Maybe less, but definitely not more. Okay. Second, structured notes, mind maps, right? So if you look at the textbook, it's it's paragraph after paragraph of lots and lots of facts are there, very little diagrams. So that makes a little bit reading the textbook again and again is not feasible. It gets a little boring, right? So to give you so we have tried to come up with notes and mind maps that will help you recollect the facts much better. So I'll just give you a brief glance of what I have today. So this is 175 pages notes prepared by me, right? So I'll just show you how we have articulated the various facts in the from the book so that it's very easy for you to, um, uh, understand and recollect, right? We need to have something that serves as a fast revision tool before exam. You don't I mean, nobody goes back to the textbook again and again right before the exam. However, I'll tell you the exam preparation strategy. You obviously need to revise the entire textbook two, 3 times at least, right? But then you rely on the mind maps right before the exam, right? So this is how you see it's try to make it less boring. You have pictures and diagrams and various infographics to help you understand the various facts in a much better way. It will be less boring, right? So chapter by chapter, I have done that. So the moment you enroll with the course, you'll get this on day one. So these notes are already available. You'll get it as soon as you enroll. Okay, so yeah, there are 8 chapters, and it's a summary that's contained in 175 pages. All right. One moment. Yeah. Oops. Um, Third point is, so yeah, you definitely need lots and lots of practice. Lots of practice. So we will give you around 500 MCQs. GARP does provide, a practice exam and previous exam questions for your practice. But on top of that, you still need lots and lots of practice. So we will provide you with 500 MCQ questions, and we'll have regular doubt clearing sessions and practice questions. Right. So if you enroll with us right now, you'll get the recorded video lectures that I have taken right away from day one, and the end-to-end notes that I prepared that you'll get on day one. And then maybe a bi-weekly basis, we will have doubt clearing sessions and practice questions. So that will be taken by Karan sir. Okay. And this, yeah, the pedagogy is targeted to Indian audience. So the language would be Hindi and English, Hindi plus English. All right. And the last aspect, which is the most important aspect about, doing SCR with us, is that we will also cover the practical aspects of climate risk modeling. What that means is today, how the different banks have adopted climate risk framework into their existing frameworks for risk calculation. So you'll get a flavor of how do we go about incorporating climate risk in our current risk landscape. So that is one. And we will actually show you the various, using some Excel templates, we'll show you how to go about performing the climate risk calculation. That is one. Number two is we'll do a thorough walkthrough of the regulatory guidelines that have come up. So the BCBS papers, as well as ECB and IFRS. Right. So that's one of the key features that Peaks to Tails provides, right? Practical modeling aspect. This one goes above and beyond what is prescribed in the SCR syllabus, right? Okay, so there is another question. So there is only one level in SCR. Yes, it's just one single paper. If you clear that, you get the certificate. That's why I keep telling you that do it now for multiple reasons. Syllabus is manageable right now. It could, blow out of proportion later because this topic is huge. Number two, prices have been steadily increasing. So the sooner you do it, the more benefit you get. And number three, it could very well become 2-part exam like FRM. Today, it's just one paper, so that makes it easier. Okay. Yeah, last slide. So here are the details. The fees is 30K INR. We have a festive discount going on, which gives you 10% discount as applicable till the end of this year. And here are the contact details. You can reach out to us for further questions. All right, I'll stop recording here. Let us know if you have any questions.